School-wide Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports, or PBIS, is a proactive, team-based framework for creating and sustaining safe and effective schools. Emphasis is placed on prevention of problem behavior, development of pro-social skills, and the use of data-based problem-solving for addressing existing behavior concerns. School-wide PBIS increases the capacity of schools to educate all students utilizing research-based, school-wide, classroom, and individualized interventions. Since its inception more than 13 years ago at the University of Oregon, PBIS has developed into a framework that can be used by any school to help improve the social and learning behaviors of students and decrease disruptions that interfere with instruction. PBIS is now implemented in thousands of schools across the country and in hundreds of schools here in Illinois, including preschools, elementary, middle, and high schools. School-wide Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports is a prevention model. It is based on the premises that all students can benefit from well-implemented, evidence-based practices for improving student behavior. School-wide PBIS provides a comprehensive framework that can be used by any school to design their own system of behavioral supports for all students. It also provides informed decision-making based upon data analysis that guides the process of assessing student needs and providing additional levels of behavioral support to students in need. The emergence of school-wide PBIS is a response to a growing over-reliance on using negative consequences for problem behavior. On this slide, there were many typical responses to student behavior, when in reality, most of these measures really have little impact on changing student behavior. The good news is that research reviews indicate that the most effective responses to students' behavior include social skills training, differentiated instruction to address academics, and behavioral interventions. Just like any other skill, behavior is something that needs to be taught, just like reading, math, or riding a bike. Likewise, there are many things within a classroom environment that we can do to increase the likelihood that students can learn and behave. These ideas truly represent a shift in philosophy from fixing the student to redesigning the environment and implementing teaching strategies and interventions to promote student success. School-wide PBIS teaches socially acceptable behaviors. A set of universal expectations for behavior, positively stated, are established for all students in all environments of the school. These expectations generally promote core values such as respect, responsibility, and safety. Interventions and strategies are implemented to teach and reinforce these expectations. Similar to RTI, PBIS is also a decision-making framework characterized by multiple tiers of intervention. The tiers of intervention provide schools with an integrated continuum of behavioral interventions and practices. The important idea to remember is that each tier of intervention represents an increasing intensity of services, supports, and instruction. Each student in a school is matched to a tier of intervention based on his or her learning and behavioral needs. Schools that implement school-wide behavior systems often find that students' academic performance improves as teachers are able to return to teaching academics after behavioral issues have been supported. Why implement behavioral strategies for all students if only a few seem to have problems? There are a few reasons. First, even if students don't have major behavior problems, they can benefit from instruction and positive behavior expectations. PBIS is a skill-building approach that will strengthen the repertoire of social skills for any student. Secondly, educators who work in schools that implement PBIS report high levels of satisfaction with it, citing the positive effects of getting on the same page with their colleagues, improved school climate, and increased time for instruction. Thirdly, fewer students will rise to the second and third tiers when universal best practices are implemented, and the specialized strategies implemented for those students will likely be more effective when implemented within the context of school-wide PBIS. And fourthly, students become effective models for each other. First, school teams develop Tier 1 universal school-wide management strategies designed to meet the needs of all students and develop common language and focus for all school staff. Universal or Tier 1 strategies are designed to be implemented with all learners consistently and efficiently across all school settings, classroom and non-classroom, like the cafeteria and hallways. This includes defining expectations and teaching specific behaviors for social skills that will lead to success in school, providing frequent positive reinforcement for expected behavior, consistently addressing social problems, and arranging teaching and learning environments to ensure success for all. This level meets the needs of approximately 80% of a school student body. Even with effective universal interventions in place, a group of students, somewhere between 10 and 15%, will require additional behavioral supports. The secondary tier is designed to support a targeted group of students who have not responded to universal tier interventions and who will require repeated practice and environmental modifications to increase their likelihood of academic and social success. The strategies that are put into place match the function of the student's behavior. Although they are linked to the Tier 1 interventions, Tier 2 interventions are much more intensive and typically require more adult attention and monitoring. The behavioral strategies of Tier 2 can be likened to the small group academic interventions for students requiring additional instruction or practice to keep up with the standard curriculum. Third, Tier 3 or tertiary systems of support are developed to provide highly individualized strategies for the relatively small number of students who engage in ongoing, challenging behavior that is unresponsive to universal or Tier 1 or targeted Tier 2 based interventions. At the tertiary level, special educators, school psychologists, counselors, and behavior interventionists utilize functional behavior assessment to gather data and to develop behavior intervention plans. This can be likened to the student who is unable to learn to read using the standard curriculum and requires a highly individualized reading intervention to be successful. Approximately 5% of the student body will require individualized interventions. In conclusion, PBIS is a proactive, positive approach to preventing problem behavior. At the universal level, teachers explicitly teach students school expectations and provide reinforcement when students meet those expectations. As frequency and intensity of behavior for some students increases, educators utilize targeted and individualized supports to provide additional layers of positive support. Let's see what this looks like in a school setting.
About a year to 2 years ago, the teachers, the administration felt that the students were taking basically charge of the halls. We had our guys outside of their lockers, what the kids call posting up, or hanging 15 to 20 minutes after the bell. It seemed like every period there was a fight. We have about 12 security guards for 2,700 students. So you could just imagine how much time and effort was put just to have those kids funneled into classes. Our ACT scores took a dip the last 2 years. We attributed that to the fact that the kids were not going to class. They weren't taking the advantage of those 46 minutes. And the reason why is because there was no supervision.
All right, happy Friday, everybody. Make sure you have those IDs on.
And the teachers felt that it was time for us to make a change.
Hi, how's it going? Good to see you. Good to see you.
There's a variety of strategies that we use to help schools define and structure their learning environment. So positive behavior supports is a really broad term for different strategies that we use to really intentionally design and deliver instruction in ways that really motivate kids to be engaged in instruction and to demonstrate the kind of positive behaviors that we would like to see from them as learners. So Kelly implemented our foundation strategy, which is one of our school climate strategies, for what they expect of adults and students in their common areas.
And we said, we got it. We know what we want to do. We want to do the Start on Time initiative.
All right, guys, we only got about a minute left. Let's get to class quickly.
You can do it. You can do it.
All right, 15 seconds. We got to have the hall clear. 15 seconds.
We made some changes. Their mentality now is like, I need to make it to class on time.
Okay, you can walk her down. Thank you.
Once the bell rings, the second group of teachers are hall suite teachers.
What? You're late though.
And those teachers hold those kids who are not in class, walk them to a designated area.
Once a student has had their ID scanned for tardy, then another staff member is going to escort them to their classes. So when that happens, the students will not be walking in the hallways unattended.
What class are you going to?
English.
English. Who's your teacher?
Mr. Pinsel.
Mr. Gonzalez. I coached cross country with him.
As far as the student-teacher relationships, a lot more of our teachers are actively engaged with the students to find out what's going on in their life, how are you doing, what's going on today. Our teachers actually spend more time than in the past talking to students.
At first, honestly, I didn't believe it would work, but it's been a massive improvement in our school. There's students like me that need to get to their class on time. It's actually more helpful now that they have the Start on Time program.
We have the highest freshman on track rate in Kelly's history, so we attribute that to the fact that they're in class.
Bye, Jinji. And Kelly has also implemented peer jury so that students are really leading the way to say these behaviors are not acceptable. We as your fellow peers are going to hold you accountable through peer jury.
Emma, do you want to start and discuss why the student has been referred to peer jury?
Ingrid Perez was caught tagging on a desk. She put Hallbrook sucks. So what do you guys think? How should we handle this?
See if perhaps she has any problems with the teacher.
Peer jury at Kelly is a restorative justice program where we have students who are referred for lower level violations of the school discipline code.
I tagged on the desk.
Why did you do it?
He was on my case about missing homework. I didn't want to bash at him, so I just wrote on the desk.
The students are given the chance to meet with their peers to come up with an alternative consequence, address the issue that may have occurred, and kind of keep that positive momentum going so they're able to still focus on their work.
Is there anything different that you could have done?
Yeah, I guess I could just have talked to him. And he's really understanding.
Did you apologize to him?
I'm a pretty big advocate for student justice. Anything that I could do to help students is something that I'm pretty passionate about.
It gives us like a point of view of also deciding if we were that student.
She apologized to your teacher and she regrets doing it.
Well, she said she hasn't done this before, right?
So what do you guys think that we should do?
Should just have her come for like a day or two and cleaning desks, since that's what she did, was tag on a desk. Yeah. Should we have her do it during her lunch period or after school?
I think after school.
It should be after school.
Yeah.
Does everyone agree to that?
Yes.
Yeah, so we all agree?
So are you in agreement for your alternative disciplinary action?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
So it's not just about minimizing misbehavior, but it's really about eliciting the kind of positive behaviors you want from students as learners in your classroom. DAWS is a really exciting example of what can happen when you layer in strategies over time.
The kids come in the morning and they come to school, they're happy to be here. We just started to relook at how we did things here just from an organizational standpoint. Behavior wasn't out of control, but we knew that it could be improved and it could be better, that we wanted to get a different feel or a different culture in the building as far as behavior.
We're utilizing CHAMPS, and I would describe CHAMPS as a comprehensive approach to classroom management. It really focuses on structuring the classroom environment for success.
It creates a respect and ownership and accountability for each one of them, and who can demonstrate a level 2, Arturo.
When everybody's loud, then we have to do this trump signal. They put a thumbs up when they see you trump them. They're trying to help them.
All right, remember there's other classes outdoors, so what do we do out there? What voice level? 0.
All the way to the top of the stairs and stop when you get to the top.
If a student is off task, another student will say, you know, you're supposed to be at a 1, or you're supposed to be at a 0. They take ownership and responsibility for each other.
We have pause prizes, like how many paws you have, and we have like different boxes.
The pause is like, it's to show that how you're behaving in your homework, you'll get a reward instead of consequences. It's helped me because I've been missing my homework, but now I bring it back, and now I get the awesome box.
CHAMP. Success! CHAMP. Success!
I think CHAMPS has helped because the culture has shifted from the focus being on the teacher to the students taking ownership and accountability. What does activity look like as you're engaged in your small groups?
Everyone's participating as one person says something, and we're respecting our others in our groups.
Once you finish reading and annotating the text, you're going to engage in your small group discussion.
In the small groups, it should be like a max of 6 people talking because each group has their own person or presenter.
So I'm the speaker, so I'm responsible for presenting and summing up everything that the group does. He's the tally master who is responsible for keeping track of who answers things.
We use that so we could have equal participation throughout the whole group.
She is the leader, so she keeps the discussion flowing.
I had another question, and it was, what can you say about Kathy's judgment towards the girls?
Well, I agree, Vontrice. I thought that it was because Esperanza didn't care that she was losing a friend, that she had 2 more friends.
The CHAMPS ambassadors are put in place so they could control the voice level.
If it gets too loud, I have to remind them that they have to be quiet. This checklist, if they come prepared, I check it, and then it means that they did come prepared.
Student ownership is critical because they're stepping up as leaders, more responsible for their learning. They are learning to pose and ask questions and think without the teacher cueing them.
The way I see CHAMPS has changed the culture of the school is really through us having the confidence to release some of that control. In the beginning, we were pretty strict with the hallway. If voice level 0 is 0. We kind of had to get away from that culture to more of a conversation in the hallway. We don't really want these kids just lined up perfectly quiet. We want them to be talking to each other. Now we're trying to have more collaborative, engaging learning. We're still holding them to our school-wide expectations, but you gotta kind of let go of that it's us versus them. I guess we get to know each other better.
A good artist. He can be a good artist. He can be another Leonardo. Yeah, Leonardo da Vinci.
In order for students to truly be college and career ready, they need to be nourished academically, socially, emotionally, and behaviorally.
Tier 1 services are in place. How does that rise up? And we start to have conversations about specific students and matching them to appropriate services.
I already had like pretty high expectations for myself, but I was showing the school that I wasn't my best.
Many people think that our schools don't have a lot of resources. What we actually have found is that's not the case. So there's a lot of people trying to help our students, and especially in these high need communities, but there's not a structure in place to determine what's the right set of services and how do those people talk to each other and talk to teachers and families and the student to keep that student moving towards success. So Calvin Park was selected to develop a care team.
And we discuss individual students, and then we determine whether or not they need tiered support. We know what each student's doing, then we can go back and share with the teacher. So even the teachers feel that they're being heard.
They've really been a great resource to help in getting some of these kids back on track mentally. Some of these kids are going through some real bad things, and the care team plays a role in communicating with them and helping them. And I've seen great results. So they've really had an impact.
And it doesn't have to be your students always getting in trouble. It could maybe be the AB honor roll student who internalizes. We're here to like meet the needs of all students.
We now have purposeful interventions in the school, which we didn't have before. It's a good thing for our school.
Group kind of showed me to like not judge people because of what they go through, which they go through a lot.
In group, we talk about our problems or things that happen to us.
Our counselors, they are not willing to give up on you at all. They're really a big impact.
I know that everybody has their different things that they go through, and some more than others.
And I know I can count on them if I have a problem. Even with schoolwork, they would help me, or if I have a family problem.
I'm not alone with things, so it's helped me a lot in a lot of different ways.
They really care about the students. This is one program that works, and we're seeing the results.
For more information, please feel free to email positive behavior support at cps.edu or visit our website.